Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to briefly share how to use a journal. I've been using a journal now for 8-9 years, and it's really cool when you're writing in a journal and you could look back 6 months, a year, 5 years ago and see what you were thinking. In fact, some of the most emotional times that I've had is when I go back and I look at a journal. So this is what you do. A journal can be used for anything that you want, but ultimately you want to organize your mind. And just like you have an organized house, that shows an organized mind. So does an organized journal reflect an organized mind. I could look back years ago and I could see journal reflections, and I have no idea what was going on in my mind because I just wasn't organized. But now it looks like it's a military mission, like it's very precise. This is what you do. You buy a journal, step one. Any journal, particularly one that you like the look of. So when you go to it, it's going to be a nice journal. Don't get some cheap notebook, but get something that when you open it up, it feels special. Put the date in the top right-hand corner, because the last thing you want to do is make all these journals and then look back at it years from now and not know when you put it in. And then once you have your journal, you put in the date, you use it as a way to keep track of your mind. What you write down has a purpose. You may be using it to study your emotions. You may use your journal when you're emotional and you want to vent, but you don't want to say that to someone else. Or you could use a journal to keep progress and showing every single day how you spent your time, how you were productive, what you were thinking, and then you have this stack of a year to show what you did every day, to show whether you succeeded or failed in what you wanted to do. And if you use your journal properly, you could look back on the journal of see what you did this day and all the days and months that are stacked to see the outcome of the year. So if you have a journal and you see that you're crushing it every day, you're doing exactly what you know you need to do, everything you set off to accomplish, you accomplished, and you just have a bunch of check-offs, well, that journal is going to reflect itself in victories, in accomplishing what you want to accomplish. But equally so, if you look back on your journal and you weren't consistent in logging in, you weren't consistent with doing what you said you wanted to do, well, you know that there's a disconnect there. So a journal is something that you want to use for emotional awareness and to study yourself. Because if you're really upset about something and you're writing in your journal, you could very logically come up with solutions. You could logically evaluate what you were thinking. When you were thinking that thought, was it in alignment with who you usually are, or are you just emotional in that moment? And you could study yourself. And then as you grow, looking back, you're going to think, wow, I can't believe I used to think that way. So journals are a really great way to see the development of your character, the development of your thinking, of your philosophy, but also to use your journal as an accountability mirror to see that I did do what I said I was going to do. And I kept track of everything. And when people ask me what my results, I have actual numbers to show them, as opposed to saying, well, it went pretty good. Because here's a quote that I really, really love. What gets measured gets accomplished. And when you measure your results, they have a funny way of working out. But when we wing it, it doesn't work. Another quote that I really like. You either plan to fail or you fail to plan. Fail to plan or plan to fail. So it's all just a matter of accountability, studying ourselves, and as Socrates said it best, know thyself. As you log in and you consistently use a journal, you're going to become more aware of yourself emotionally. You're going to become more aware of how you're spending your time, the results that you're getting, because you've learned to be accountable to yourself and to express your emotions to yourself. When you have a really nice journal session, and you're upset, for example, like it's a source of therapy. You are letting it out. Doesn't mean you have to tell anyone, but just by journaling, you let it out. And that alone is going to be really good for your mental health. So get a journal, get one that's beautiful, put the date in there, put your intentions in the first page, like what you want to accomplish overall in your life, and then let that be your guide. Look back at that each day, and don't deviate too far from the path. But just keep logging in, acknowledge how you feel, write down what you've accomplished, what you did. And it's really cool to look back as you've stacked these journals on your life. Like, I remember when I was in high school, I wrote down that I wanted to make $250,000 in a year. I wanted to live on the beach, and I wanted to have a sports car. Well, I wrote that down at the time because there was this job that I heard that someone had that paid $250,000. And to me at the time, I thought that that was like ridiculous amount of money. Well, the journal got buried somewhere at my parents' house, and then I went to college and dropped out of college and moved around and stuff. And then last year, so that's like 9 years later, I picked up the journal, and I was so emotional because I saw that that journal I had picked up, I never went the path of that job, but I ended up exceeding that amount of income in a year, my first year working. And I was just so emotional because I knew I wanted this, but simply the fact of just writing down your goals has a magical way of them coming into play. And most people, 97% of people don't have written goals. So even if you could just write down your goals in your journal and revisit it and continually write them down, if nothing else, that alone would be a great thing to do. Or scripting. That's another thing I like to do, is I like to script out exactly who I intend to create, the person that I am, and write in the present tense that I am now this person, and this is my experience, and write out what it feels like to be on the trip, to be at the beach, to be in the car. Whatever that I desire, I script it out in the present tense that I am now. I am feeling this now. That's another great exercise you could use. So the journal has no limits. You could use it for whatever you intend to do. It's your own personal workshop. So use the journal and watch as your life transforms. But the worst thing you can do is listen to this video and not go buy a journal, not open the journal, not make your first input. Just get the journal, man. Just get the journal. You're going to be really happy that you did. See you guys in the next video.